Before you move a single inch, before your finger even thinks of scrolling away, I want you to pause right where you are. Because what you are about to hear is not just another random video. This moment right now may be one of the most important pauses in your life. Not because I say so, but because something deep inside you is already paying attention. You may not understand why you stopped here, but something in you knows you needed to hear this. And if you leave now, you may never know why. So stay. Breathe. Let your heart be still for just a moment. Let these words reach you in the place where you rarely let anyone in. Right now, you may be watching this on your phone in a busy room or quietly in bed where no one knows what you are truly going through. You may be in the United States juggling responsibilities, in Canada searching for peace, in Germany thinking deeply about life, in France trying to hold yourself together, or anywhere in the world pretending to be strong while silently breaking inside. No matter where you are, one truth remains. Your heart has been carrying far more than anyone realizes. You have smiled when you were exhausted. You have kept going when you were overwhelmed. You have laughed in public and cried in private. You have gone through storms that nobody knows about because your strength was never loud, but your pain was never small. There are scars in your story that no one sees. There are memories you don't talk about anymore because they hurt too deeply. There were moments where your life could have shattered beyond repair, and no one would have even known how close you came to losing yourself. There were times when you were surrounded by people and still felt alone. There were nights when you closed your eyes, hoping to escape the noise in your head, but instead your thoughts became louder. There were days you woke up feeling heavy before anything even happened, because the real battle was not outside you. It was inside you. And yet, you kept going. Even when your heart was tired, even when the world felt cold, even when your faith felt weak, even when everything in you whispered, "I can't do this anymore." You still breathed, you still stood, you still survived. Not by accident, not by luck, because your life still has purpose. There were moments danger came so close that you only realized later how protected you were. There were decisions you almost made that would have destroyed you, but something stopped you without you understanding why. There were times when everything felt like it was falling apart, but somehow the final piece never broke. Something always held, even when you didn't know what it was. Something unseen stood between you and what could have ended you. Even when you thought you were completely alone, you weren't. Even when you thought no one cared, heaven did. Even when you thought no one heard you, every silent cry was seen. Think carefully. Why didn't your story end in the darkest chapter? Why are you still here after everything life threw at you? Why did the storm break but not break you? Because you were never meaningless, never invisible, never forgotten. Your existence has never been random. There has been purpose tied to your life since the day you took your first breath. But somewhere along the way, life got heavy. Somewhere between childhood innocence and adult responsibility, something inside you grew tired. You learned to carry pain quietly. You learned to hide hurt behind jokes. You learned to appear strong because you thought breaking would make you weak. You learned to silence your feelings because life demanded your strength. You started existing instead of living. You started surviving instead of hoping. You started breathing without feeling alive. There were times your heart tried to speak. Times you felt something calling you to slow down, to look deeper, to face what you buried, to acknowledge that your soul has needs too. But you pushed it away. You distracted yourself. You drowned out the inner voice with busyness, routine, entertainment, work, or people. Not because you didn't care, but because it felt safer to ignore it than to feel everything at once. But lately, something has changed. Lately, there has been a restlessness inside you that you cannot fully explain. Your heart has been unsettled. Familiar things no longer satisfy you the way they used to. The distractions don't numb you the same anymore. The noise doesn't drown out the emptiness like before. Something inside you has been waking up. Maybe that is why you are here right now. Maybe that is why you didn't scroll away. Maybe that is why your chest feels a little heavier and your heart feels a little softer as you listen. Something deep within you recognizes these words. Something in your spirit knows there is truth here. The truth that you have been hurting longer than you admit. The truth that you have been tired far deeper than physical exhaustion. The truth that you deserve peace. Real peace, not temporary relief. Not moments of distraction. Not fake smiles that hide pain. Real peace that settles in your soul like calm water after a storm. But peace does not come from pretending everything is fine. Healing does not come from ignoring your wounds. Strength is not found in silence. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is pause like you are doing now and simply be honest with yourself. Honest about your pain. Honest about your fears. Honest about the loneliness you carry. Honest about the moments where you question your worth. Honest about the times you wondered if your life truly mattered to anyone. And here is the truth. Many people don't tell you. You have every right to feel tired. You have every right to feel hurt. You have every right to feel confused by life sometimes. You have every right to feel emotional. You are human. A breathing, feeling, living human being with a heart that has been through battles most people would not understand. And yet, despite everything, you still carry kindness. You still care. You still love deeply. You still want to be okay. You still dream of better days, even if you do it silently. That says more about strength than anything else. Look at your journey. Look at how many times you thought you wouldn't make it but did. Look at how many chapters you thought were the end but weren't. Look at how much you have grown through things that could have destroyed you. You didn't lose your heart. You didn't lose your goodness. You didn't lose your ability to feel. That is not weakness. That is resilience. That is power. That is beauty. But there is something else you need to understand. You were never meant to carry everything alone. You were never meant to live constantly overwhelmed. You were never meant to drown in silent pain. You were never meant to feel like you must always be strong. You deserve a life where your soul breathes freely, where your mind is at rest, where your heart is safe, where your hope is not fragile, where you wake up not just existing, but truly living. And right now, as you sit here listening, this moment is an invitation, not an emotional trick, not empty words, not a dramatic performance. A genuine invitation to awaken again, to remember you still matter, to remember your life has weight, to remember there is still a future with meaning, to remember that you were not carried through all those battles for nothing. There is still more written in your story than what you have seen. This moment right now is a turning point. Not loud, but powerful. Not forced, but real. Not pressured, but gentle. Something inside you feels it. This moment is a reminder that hope is not gone. Healing is still possible. Strength is still within reach. Your purpose is still alive. And there is something greater ahead than what is behind you. If you are still here, if you didn't scroll away, then that means something inside you is awake now in a way it wasn't before. It means your heart is listening, really listening, not just with your ears, but with that quiet inner place where your deepest thoughts and unspoken emotions live. And if you are still here, that is not ordinary. That means this journey is meant for you. So stay with me. Let your soul stay open, because what you are about to hear next may change the way you see your past, your present, and your future. You have lived through so much already. Life has not always been gentle with you. There were moments that shaped you in ways you did not ask for. Moments that hardened parts of your heart. Moments that made you grow up too fast. Moments that forced you to become stronger than you ever wanted to be. Maybe you don't talk about those moments anymore, but they still live inside you. They shaped your fears. They shaped your trust. They shaped the way you see yourself, and they shaped the way you move through the world. There were times you felt abandoned, times when the people you trusted most didn't show up when you needed them, times when the ones who promised to stay walked away like your presence never mattered. Times when love felt like pain. Times when friendships turned into disappointments. Times when family felt distant, even when physically close. And those wounds didn't just disappear. They changed you. They taught you to protect yourself. They made you cautious with your heart. They made you question your worth. They convinced you to stop expecting too much from life. But deep inside, there is still a part of you that remembers what hope felt like. A part of you that still believes life could be more beautiful than what you've seen. A part of you that still quietly wishes for peace, for safety, for belonging, for something real and stable that doesn't leave. You may try to silence that part sometimes, but it's still there. That is the part of you that is still alive. That is the part of you that refuses to die, no matter how hard life tried to crush it. You have walked through seasons when everything looked fine on the outside, but nothing felt right on the inside. Seasons where you laughed around others, but felt empty when you were alone. Seasons where you kept yourself busy because silence felt dangerous. Seasons where you smiled out of habit, not happiness. And somewhere in those seasons, you started losing connection with yourself. Not because you are weak, but because sometimes surviving means shutting parts of yourself down just to keep moving forward. But now, slowly, gently, life is bringing you back to yourself, not to the broken version of you, not to the hurting version of you, but to a truer version of you, a wiser version, a deeper version, a version that understands what pain feels like, but refuses to be defined by it. A version that has been shaped by struggle, but not destroyed by it. A version that can finally begin to breathe again. There were so many times when you didn't understand why things had to happen the way they did. Why certain doors closed. Why certain people left. Why certain dreams fell apart. Why life changed in ways you never expected. Maybe you blamed yourself. Maybe you thought you weren't enough. Maybe you convinced yourself that life simply wasn't meant to be kind to you. But what if some things didn't happen to break you, but to redirect you? What if some endings were really protection in disguise? What if some losses were making room for something better that you couldn't see yet? Sometimes the things that hurt the most are the very things that stop us from walking into deeper destruction. Sometimes the heartbreak that shattered you was saving you from a life that wasn't meant for your future. Sometimes the delay that frustrated you was actually timing protecting you. Sometimes what you thought was rejection was really redirection. And sometimes what you thought was abandonment was God pulling you away from what would have destroyed you. You may not have realized it then, but there were moments in your life where unseen hands guarded you. Moments where something inside whispered no when everything else said yes. Moments where a small, uncomfortable feeling stopped you from making a wrong choice. Moments when situations didn't work out, not because you were unlucky, but because your life was being protected. You aren't here because you have never been close to destruction. You are here because every time darkness tried to take you, something stronger stood in the way. And now you are here, standing at a place where you can finally begin to understand that your life has always mattered. Your tears mattered. Your struggles mattered. Your strength mattered. Your survival mattered. You were never invisible, even when you felt unseen. Every silent prayer, every whispered fear, every tired breath counted. Think about how many times you wanted to give up and didn't. Think about how many times you felt like you couldn't carry on but somehow still did. Think about the weight you carried yet still helped others. Think about how you still showed kindness even while hurting. Think about how you still loved even after being hurt by love. That kind of heart is rare. That kind of strength is extraordinary. That kind of soul does not exist without purpose. There is something powerful within you that even you haven't fully discovered yet. A depth, a calling, a strength, a capacity to impact lives. You may not feel special, but the world does not shape such resilient souls for no reason. You were built to endure because you were built for something meaningful. And right now, your life is standing at a threshold. The past is behind you, but what is ahead is not just survival, it is transformation. But transformation requires honesty. Honesty with your pain. Honesty with your fears. Honesty with your doubts. You cannot heal from what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot grow if you keep pretending you don't hurt. You cannot move forward if you keep gripping what already ended. Sometimes letting go is not weakness. Sometimes letting go is the bravest step toward freedom. And maybe this is where you are now, standing between who you had to be and who you are meant to become, standing between old wounds and new strength, standing between old fears and new faith, standing between exhaustion and awakening. And it's okay if it feels uncertain. It's okay if it feels emotional. It's okay if it feels heavy. Powerful moments often do. But you are not alone in this moment. You are not walking toward your future empty-handed. You are walking with everything life has taught you. With every lesson, every scar, every tear, every rebuilt piece of yourself. You carry wisdom now that pain taught you. You carry compassion now that suffering grew within you. You carry resilience now that hardship forged within your spirit. And because of that, your future will not look like your past. This journey you are on right now, this awareness rising inside you, this stirring in your heart, this quiet realization that your life is meant for more, it is not an accident. Something greater is aligning. Something within you is being prepared. Something new is being written. And as you continue forward, you will begin to see that the very things that tried to destroy you are the very things that strengthened you. And this is not the end of the story. This is not even the highest point. This is still the unfolding. There is more to come. More clarity. More peace, more strength. More purpose, more understanding, more awakening. Your story is not finished. Your journey is not over. Something powerful is still ahead. So don't stop now. Don't turn away. Stay with this. Because what comes next will take you even deeper into truth, into purpose, into the part of your story you have been waiting your whole life to reach. If you are still here, If you are listening right now, then you are not here by accident. After everything you have already heard, after everything your heart has already felt, something inside you has kept you here, because this part matters the most. This is the moment where everything begins to connect. This is the place where your past meets understanding, your present meets clarity, and your future begins to unfold. So stay right here with me. Breathe slowly. Let your soul stay open, because this moment is different. You have carried so much. You have survived so much. You have endured storms you never saw coming. And while the world may only see your face, heaven has seen your battles. Heaven has seen the nights when your chest felt heavy and your mind felt loud. Heaven has seen the days where you smiled just to keep people from worrying. Heaven has seen the silent strength you carried when you had no one to lean on. And now, heaven is reminding you that none of it was wasted. None of it was meaningless. None of it was unseen. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. You are not finished. You are becoming. There is something happening in you right now, even if you cannot fully describe it. A quiet shift. A stirring. A feeling that something is changing inside you. It is not fear. It is not pressure. It is awakening. Awakening to the truth that your life is precious. Awakening to the truth that you were never abandoned. Awakening to the truth that your story still has power, beauty, and purpose written into it. There were seasons where you thought you had lost yourself. Seasons where you did not recognize the person in the mirror anymore. Seasons where life felt like too much. Seasons where you prayed for relief, even if you never said it out loud. Seasons where you questioned everything. But the fact that you are still here means something important. You were stronger than what tried to break you. You were more valuable than what tried to discard you. You were more loved than what tried to convince you that you were alone. You have not come this far just to stop here. You have not survived everything just to live empty. You have not been protected through countless unseen battles just to live without meaning. There is more prepared for your life than pain. More than disappointment, more than fear, more than regret. There is a future ahead of you that holds peace, stability, healing, growth, strength, clarity, and yes, real joy. Not fake joy, not temporary relief. Real joy that lives deep inside your spirit. But you cannot step into what is ahead while holding yourself hostage to what is behind. You cannot move forward if you keep replaying what hurt you. You cannot heal if you keep living inside wounds you should have walked out of. You cannot grow if you keep shrinking yourself to fit into old chapters. Your past is a lesson, not a prison. It shaped you, but it does not define you. It hurt you, but it does not own you. It changed you, but it did not end you. You owe it to yourself to believe again. You owe it to yourself to breathe without fear again. You owe it to yourself to let your soul feel safe again. You owe it to yourself to step into a life where your heart is not constantly drowning in heaviness. There is strength in you right now that you didn't have before. Not the strength that pretends everything is fine. Not the strength that hides emotions. Not the strength that numbs pain. A deeper strength. A wiser strength. A strength built from every battle, every tear, every lesson, every survival moment you didn't think you had the energy to get through. That strength is real. That strength is powerful. That strength will carry you forward. And you are not walking forward alone. You never have been. Even in your darkest moments, when you thought no one heard your silent cries, heaven did. When you thought no one saw your pain, heaven did. When you thought no one cared if you broke, heaven did. You have always been loved more than you realized. You have always been seen more than you understood. That is why death could not have you. That is why destruction did not win. That is why hopelessness did not swallow you. Because your life matters more than you think. Right now, something inside you may be emotional. Maybe you feel tears. Maybe you feel a weight lifting. Maybe you feel something you haven't felt in a long time. That is not weakness. That is release. Your heart has been holding things for too long. Your soul has been tired for too long. And right now, you are finally allowed to breathe. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to start again. You are allowed to feel hope. You are allowed to believe that something beautiful can still come from your life. Nothing you went through has been wasted. Every battle built something inside you. Every tear watered strength. Every delay protected you. Every closed door redirected you. You are standing today not as a defeated person, but as someone preserved for purpose. The world may not understand your journey, but heaven does. And your future is not random. It is intentional. There will be days ahead where things finally make sense. Days where peace governs your mind. Days where laughter returns without guilt. Days where your heart feels light again. Days where you realize that everything you went through was shaping you for something bigger than anything you lost. So lift your head. Breathe deeper than before. Feel the strength sitting quietly inside your chest right now. You are not done. You are becoming everything you were meant to be. And if you are still listening, if your heart is still here with these words, then this moment has already started something powerful inside your life. A shift, a healing, a new chapter quietly opening. Your story is not defined by the pain that tried to break you. Your story is defined by the courage that kept you alive. And now, it is time to live. Truly live with faith, with strength, with hope, with the quiet confidence that even if you cannot see everything ahead, you are not walking into darkness. You are walking into